Welcome back, everybody, to another day of the Dota 2 Champions League. I know it's been a bit of a delay. We are now 30 minutes behind schedule, but we are finally getting into our game. Basically, what happened is Sigma had a bit of a delay due to missing one of their players. Teams are required to have at least 4 from their original roster with only one stand-in, and they were missing one player. They were able to just squeak him in time. And the admins go ahead and let us get into this game, and I can go ahead. We can start talking about the draft, and I say we because I'm going to be able to welcome in my very special co-caster. It's going to be Ayesee, who's going to be doing all the play-by-play for today's matches.
Thank you once again, my friend. A pleasure to be back on the mic, and hopefully, if all goes to plan, everything should be sounding better in Dota TV today than it has over the last couple of days, and finally source that issue out. You know, it was confusing because to you, I sounded fine on the stream. It seemed to be okay. But Dota TV viewers were getting quite a lot of static at one point, and I'm not going to get into it. Let's just say there was something broken under the hood, and the way to interact with the Dota client wasn't really working. It was a secondary microphone that was picking up a terrible, terrible sound. But that's done and out of the way, and now looking ahead to our match today, Team Empire and Sigma just barely squeaking in, as you had said. Empire, though, a very tough test for them to come into, especially down one game, given they were late to begin with, and even then they showed up, and there was a bit more of a delay as they tried to get everything lined out to get that important 4th player in so they didn't violate the rules. They will be coming into this best of 3 down one match, so we could potentially only have one game here today. But looks to be a good one as we see Empire leading off with 2 very strong support picks in the Ancient Apparition and the Dazzle. Now, that Dazzle pick, Empire's been doing that for a while, and oftentimes teams will just flat out first ban the Dazzle because they know he's going to be coming out in the first couple of picks without a doubt. Usually Empire will not let him survive into the second ban phase. Reason for that? Well, Dazzle's been buffed quite a lot, man. Weave is absolutely legitimate right now. I mean, it is such a strong ability, and he fits into so many lineups. He's excellent at team fighting so long as he finds an early level 6. Obviously, he's pretty strong in lane. He does have poison touch as well as shallow grave that helps you mitigate a little bit of the dive that you happen to see come out of very aggressive teams, Sigma being one of those aggressive teams that will play that kind of a style. And he could fit into a push lineup very effectively, so on and so forth. So Empire getting a couple of cores out real early, while Sigma, well, they just pick up a support in the Venomancer and Mirana. We'll wait to see where she's going to go. Nonetheless, a very aggressive pickup in that Mirana.
Yeah, this is something that you don't typically say about early support pickups, but this actually logs down Team Empire's draft quite a bit because you know you can't go an aggressive tri-lane or prefer not to go an aggressive tri-lane. With the Dazzle, it's not really the greatest. Chilling Touch does give them a certain advantage level 1, but it's unlikely that they're going to be running an aggressive tri-lane. You also look at it and you see very greedy supports, supports that do a lot going into mid to late game, but don't provide nearly as much in the first 15 minutes of the game where roaming and smoke ganking is really prevalent. So Team Empire, despite the fact that we only have supports picked up and 0 cores seen on the board, Team Empire actually tipped quite a bit of their strategy very, very early on. And these are 2 supports that have really risen in the kind of the tier of supports. Ancient Apparition and Dazzle have been seen a lot more. And Team Empire has really been leading the charge, especially, as you said, with that Dazzle. Gotta say, though, I'm loving Ancient Apparition being picked up this early. I have to say, I think he's always been very, very viable. That Ice Blast is just overwhelming. And Chilling Touch, I mean, it got some buffs in the past, but it was always a very, very strong level 1 ability. It just took some time for teams to really be able to adjust to that kind of style. Instead of just going for regular old nukes or disables, actually thinking about going an ability that augments your auto attack is an interesting idea at level 1, and not many teams were really willing to take that jump at first.
Oh, yeah, couldn't agree with you more. And, you know, the synergy between these 2 heroes out for Empire very early is very simple. Basically, you can call this a debuff combination, with Dazzle reducing armor while improving his own team's armor. Ancient Apparition, obviously, with Ice Blast, as you said, doing what it does, which is effectively remove a very high percentage of HP from the until you die, basically. So, I mean, it is effective HP removal in most cases, so long as you have some burst to follow it up. But they even work well together when you're talking about the way Poison Touch works with Cold Feet, for example. On top of that, Ancient Apparition able to reduce magic resistance as well. So you're talking a team very quickly with Dazzle and Ancient Apparition that if you group up, you're caught out of position, you have a handful of heroes that are caught in these AoEs, suddenly they're all but helpless. Yes, they'll have their damage, but they're just going to be made out of paper mache, more or less. And that's certainly going to be nice for a Nyx Assassin who will be looking to add a bit of that burst as well. Sigma, though, continues to ride the aggressive train, picking up the Storm Spirit in 3rd position. Lifestealer has not been banned and may well be picked up here.
Yeah, Ancient Apparition is really, really strong right now because he works really well with sort of the ganking style that we see sometimes. So Nyx Assassin being able to set up, a global gank pretty much at the other side of the map with that Vendetta, revealing a hero, throw down that Ice Blast. But also really, really important here because he's going to be able to counter Storm Spirit in some ways. That high intelligence that is always up on Storm Spirit will allow Mana Burn to do a large share of damage. So Nyx Assassin, a very, very strong third pickup from Team Empire. However, Sigma going with some massive team fight. This is countering sort of the greed of Ancient Apparition Dazzle supports very, very early on. This is kind of like full greed when you're supports. When you pick up a jungle like Enigma, who really does not do a whole lot of rotations, but farms jungle very, very quickly, this is pretty greedy from Sigma, but I like it. It gives them some really strong team fight and also some good initiation.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially coming out of Mirana's ultimate, Moonlight Shadow. Allows you to just skip a Blink Dagger, skip a mobility item early. You can choose to rush a BKB if you're an Enigma in this situation. Or you could even just decide to be the mech carrier for your team. As of right now, there is no natural mech carrier picked up by Sigma, or at least, I mean, Venomancer you certainly can see do that, but it's oftentimes very difficult for a Venomancer to get that mech up just because of how squishy the hero is and how he tends to play towards the back of fights, or when he does get focused, to die very quickly. Venom's just one of those heroes that tends to pile up deaths very quickly, especially against an aggressive team that features a Nyx Assassin and a Slark. So the Slark pickup for Empire, it's an interesting pickup. I'm a little surprised Sigma did what you just outlined, which is go so greedy with the Enigma pick. The Lifestealer honestly would seems like the natural choice here, though they could end up doing something aggressive if they wanted to. More aggressive with more of a mid-game oriented hero. I mean, Lifestealer certainly can make an impact in the mid-game, but for the most part, usually needs to be left to free farm at least for a little while. But I do like the Enigma pickup, again, just because of how he works with Mirana, having a follow-up to Storm Spirit who can jump in, start these fights with Vortex, and then allow him to follow up with the Black Hole after the reaction to Vortex comes. And that also gives him a little bit of push and a little bit of craftiness as well. I mean, you can solo Roche very early in the game with Enigma if you're sneaky about it, and Sigma has a team that'll be able to carve the map up and create some space if they want to take a shot at that. They also have a fair amount of push, being able to push with Venomancer. His wards make it very easy to slow siege towers, and of course Enigma constantly popping out those Eidolons makes those tier 1s feel very, very squishy early on. And we do see Empire did ban the Lifestealer, and I don't think there's any surprise there. I think they could have gotten away with the Lifestealer pick in 4th position, then holding off. I don't think Enigma would have been banned by Empire.
Yeah, right now, my biggest thing is Team Empire. Looking at their lineup, I like their first 3 pickup. They didn't, none of them were really, really powerful, were able to perform a whole lot. Going into the mid game, like they're all pretty dependent heroes on other people. But this Slark pickup is really what's puzzling me here, because we're looking at this Storm Spirit, Enigma, Mirana, all of those heroes. Well, Slark against Mirana, that's one thing. You do have lockdown against that. Leap will not, Pounce coming out from Mirana will not allow you to get away from, Leap will not allow you to get away from Pounce. Right. So when you do get leashed like that, you won't be able to get out. However, the Enigma jump and being able to throw down that Black Hole and the natural mobility of Storm Spirit, normally you're looking at this and you want lockdown. And this gets even more interesting because Team Empire, they grab Slardar, meaning we're going to have a melee going up against the Storm Spirit, and that's not typically what you want to see.
Yeah, so far as who's going to go mid, we'll have to see who picks it up. It could be a mid Slardar, could be a mid, we'll be silent. I was going to say it could have been a mid Slark, and I'm not sure if we have a remake or if what's going on with Sigma here, but they have all disconnected, and we have a very brief pause. Yeah, Empire's as puzzled as we are, just LOL.
Yeah, I was just looking at the chat, and I was like, there's nothing there to let us know. Oh, well, I'll send a message to Artem and see.
No idea.
All right.
But anyway, When you look at this Empire team, though, you want to talk again. It's team debuff, more or less. I mean, basically everyone but the Nyx assassin has a direct debuff. Be it Slark's stat removal, be it the matchup. It looks like we are going to have a remake, but we can finish up on that with another stand-in. All right. I'll tell you what. I'll let you throw us to the outro. We'll get this game going shortly, guys. Thanks for sticking with us.
All right, guys. We're going to have a short little break here, and we'll get into our next lobby, and we'll discuss everything else there. Just a short little break, and we'll get into it, guys.